morning. I'm so excited to
Hi.
see your face. Hi. Do you just wake up
Hi.
pretty? Like every day, you just wake up so pretty.
I know you're not talking to me.
I am talking to you. I am talking.
No, I tried today just for you.
Oh, well, I did not try today, just so you know.
You
But
look
I'm happy.
awesome.
I'm happy to see your face. Hello, good morning, everybody. I'm happy that you're here. I'm
Good morning.
gonna give everybody just a second to run in here. Good morning, good morning. All right, so this module, we are starting module 3 of our group coaching session. I want to hear kind of what you guys are most excited about of the topics we're doing. So let me remind you, this module's content, outsourcing and leveraging is today. Handling conflicts is next week. Scripts that work is after that. Networking success. I'm going to teach you how to make the most out of your networking events. Competency and confidence, how they go hand in hand. Sponsorship with returns. That is kind of like if you're sponsoring your kids' T-ball program, or you're sponsoring an event, or some type of someone in the community has asked you to sponsor something. So I want to teach you how to actually leverage that and get more out of it than just giving them money. The art of pop buys, and then creating a discount bundle. So I'm curious for you guys, which one are you guys most excited about? Try not to talk all at once, y'all.
I want the scripts.
Scripts, okay, good. Anybody else have anything different?
Handling conflict.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, that's a good one too.
that was a good one. I'm excited about that one as well. I've actually had a lot of conflict lately and a lot of deals. Valencia, what'd you say, darling?
Can y'all hear me? Oh, okay. Oh, I was gonna say all of it.
All of it. Okay, well, that's good.
I'm looking forward to all of it,
That's
like
great.
everything.
That's good. Okay, well, I love that you are a sponge, and I will just keep pouring into you as long as you let me. So, I love that you're so interested in learning it all. And Bonnie, I can always count on you too. You and Cindy are my OGs, that y'all show up for everything, and I appreciate that so much. So thank you. All right, let's talk a little bit about, I get this question a lot, which is why I picked this topic for this week, is how do I know when is the right time to, you know, outsource some of the stuff that I have to do to somebody else? And how do I determine what it is that I outsource and what I keep for myself? So this one is probably not as long as the other modules, because this is not as content driven, but I'll leave some time for us to ask some questions and to talk about it. The first things first for me when I make this decision is I have to know how much my hourly rate is. Have any of you guys ever calculated what your hourly rate actually is? Do you know how much you're worth an hour? Okay, so let's talk about how to get that. So I want you, if you're brand new, this is a little harder for you because you don't have an average sales price. But if you are experienced, I want you to go to what your average sales price is. And I want you to figure out what your normal commission on that average sales price is, and then divide that by the total number of hours you realistically spend on that transaction. Now, here's the problem. Most transactions, like some of them we can get in and out, and maybe I spend a total of maybe 12 hours total, legitimately, maybe 12 hours. If it's a buyer and I've shown them 100 houses, I'm going to be off on that one, right? But you should be able to gather what my average sales price is, what my normal commission might be, and then realistically think, on average, how much do I spend on one transaction? How many hours is it for me to get in and out and get paid? So let's say, just for an example, you decide to say, my average sales price is 400,000. My commission on that is 12 grand. And I probably spend 12 hours getting that. So what is your hourly rate? I don't, math is hard. The only math I do is X times 3%. So I get it.
How many hours did you say?
12 hours. Now, you decide, is
$1,000 an hour.
Is $12 pretty normal for you? 12 hours? Or what would you say your normal So some are less, some are more. What do you think is a
Right.
normal, what do you think is a normal or a more accurate number of hours that you probably spend with a client to earn that commission?
Mi- Mine's 30 to 40 because of
Okay.
driving around with them,
Okay. Especially if you're
probably.
working with a lot of buyers, it might be 30 or 40 hours, right? Which is
Oh,
totally
that's true.
fine,
Yeah.
right? If you're working with a lot of buyers, it might be more, you're working more hours, but I still want you to do the math because here's the deal. If you still take 30 or 40 hours divided by your average commission, your hourly rate is still pretty darn high, $300 an hour, right? That's a lot
Hmm.
of money. So I want you to think about this. When you are trying to decide, what do I outsource? What do I leverage? We're going to do a little exercise here in a second, but I want you to think about what your hourly rate is. Is it worth it to you if you don't have the skill set for, like, let's say Canva is not your jam, okay? You're not a graphic designer, you're just not really good at that. Is it worth you at $300 an hour to sit there for 3 hours or 4 hours trying to put together a stupid flyer at $300 an hour when you could have hired somebody for $25 on Fiverr or whatever, someone who is a Canva expert and could spit that out in a half an hour? My time is worth a lot more money than that, right? So I need you to be very mindful of what your hourly rate is, and is the thing that you are struggling with, or you're spending more time than you should on, or things that are just really administrative tasks and functions. I promise you that hourly rate is a lot less than your hourly rate. You also need to weigh your skill set against it. If you are not great at the marketing side, there are people that are and can get in and get out of that very quickly. And you're spending your valuable time, 4 hours it takes you to do a flyer. That's not the highest and best use of your time. My highest and best use of my time is getting more clients and marketing the properties that I've been entrusted to sell, right? That is where I excel. That is where I am greatest at. That is not the highest and best use of my time. I would also go as far as telling you showing a property to a buyer is not the highest and best use of my time. My time. That may not apply for all of you, but my point is that I have team members that could show them a house, and then I could show up to write the offer, right? Because the skill set to write the offer versus showing the house and gathering all the helpful information that they need to make an informed decision is actually not my highest and best use of my time. Driving all over town for 5 hours showing them 100 houses, or however many you're showing them, 10 houses, 7 houses, 6 houses, whatever that is, for me personally, my hourly rate is way higher than what I could pay a showing agent to show that house for me. Right? So number one, I need you to be very mindful. What is your hourly rate? If you're brand new, you don't really know what your hourly rate is just yet, but here's what I will tell you. Take an average sales price in our market and what your average commission would be on that. And then divide that by the number of hours that you legitimately would be working to get a buyer or a seller to close. And make that be your hourly range that you work from to make your decision. All right. Everybody understand that concept first, that we have to understand how much we're worth an hour. We also have to understand what our skill set is. Where is our best use of our time? What am I most skilled at? What am I really good at? Right? If you see that some of the tasks that you are required to do to keep your business going are not your skill set, then I want you to put those in another column and say, this is not where I excel. This is not where I'm great at. This is something I might want to consider leveraging or outsourcing to somebody else, right? But I need you to be very, very honest with yourself. Is this something I can get in and get out of? Is it something that I can do pretty quickly? Or is this something that's going to take me hours? And then I'm frustrated because I couldn't do it at the way that I wanted it done, because it's not my skill set. I don't know how to do it. It's like video editing. That's a prime example for me. If I recorded a video, I don't know the first thing about editing a video, but I know that I can send that off to somebody and pay 25, 50, $100 or whatever it is, and they can give it back to me exactly how I want it. And I don't have to teach myself on the internet how to be a video editor. Okay. So I want you to think about those things that are tasks that are part of your daily job. And that's going to be part of this exercise we're about to do, is tasks that are part of your daily responsibilities. What are those tasks that don't contribute to the bottom line? What tasks are not on the sales cycle? You guys all remember the sales cycle? Have you seen it? Do I need to remind you what it looks like? Do we all remember what the sales cycle looks like? Or Kaylin goes, yes, remind me. So hang on, Kaylin. I'm going to show you again what it is. Let me get here for a second. I talk about this sales cycle a lot because a lot of agents that I coach, a lot of agents that I work with, we find ourselves doing all kinds of tasks that don't lead to a paycheck. We find ourselves buried in administrative functions. We find ourselves doing things that are absolutely not in our, not in our skill set. They're definitely not in our, they're not our highest and best use of our time. They actually don't even require a high level of competency actually to do some of the things that we spend our time doing, because they're just parts of the things that we need to do, right? So real quick, I'm going to explain this sales cycle, even though I know it's self-explanatory, but I just want to make sure we're all on the same page, because what I find is that most agents engage in activities, their calendars are built with all kinds of things, and not one of those calendar things is on this sales cycle. We don't get paid unless you're engaging in the activities that are on this sales cycle. So there usually is a disconnect between the two. So the first things first is we have to seek opportunities. We have to generate leads, right? Those typically, I'm going to tell you, I want you to focus on generating, opportunities for yourself that are high value leads. Like, remember, not everybody is a buyer or seller. Some people are connectors in our world. Some people are the people who will refer us future business. Some people are our raving fans that know how we operate our business. And those are the people we want to make sure we're spending time and connecting ourselves with. So number one, you have to generate a lead. Remember, a warm lead is 8 times easier to convert than a cold lead. Stop chasing these people you don't know. Stop chasing these internet leads. Start working on the people who know you and love you and light up when your face shows up on the screen. Those are your people. Okay? Stop chasing the internet people. So generating the lead, prospecting for new business, seeking opportunities is step one. Step number 2 is appointments. You either have to get in front of these people to do buyer consultation appointments or listing presentation appointments, or actually meeting with business to business referral partners to ask for business, or practicing your presentations. That's one of my favorite appointments. And I know you guys have heard me say some of this stuff before, so if I'm repeating myself, you'll just have to forgive me. But there's always new people on the call, so sometimes I feel like I have to say things again. But, practicing your listing appointment is not just practicing for you. It's not just so that you can work the kinks out of your presentation. It actually is planting what I call the red car seed. If I told you I was going to buy a red car, you would leave that meeting with me looking, and all you would see are red cars everywhere, right? This is what I'm looking for. When I practice my listing presentation, I am planting the seeds for that person to say, here's who I help, here's how I help them, and how I operate my business. I've given them all the information about what I do in my listing appointment, and now guess what they're doing? Now they're seeking people that I can help, because I've presented the information to them. And I've also worked out the kinks in my presentation. So practice appointments, don't sleep on them. They are actually very helpful because you're planting seeds with the people you're practicing on and letting them know how you operate your business and what is unique about you and how you operate differently. Now you have created little armies that are out there looking for opportunities for you because you're explaining to them who your target client is. These are the people I like to work with. So I'm planting the red car seed in their mind. Does that make sense? Maybe? Okay. The next one is actually showing houses or listing houses. So obviously, if you've gone on appointments, you're now in the next phase where you're actually prepping a house for sale. You're in part of the arrangement to get everything ready, or you're actually dragging these buyers all over town and showing them houses, right? And then step 4, you're actually helping them do their research, you're navigating inspections, you're helping them do their due diligence, gathering the information to make an informed decision. And then in step 5, we're actually writing the offer. So if you've gotten to a place where you've written an offer today, or, you're already on the sales cycle. But if you haven't written an offer in weeks, we're not on the sales cycle unless we are actively showing houses or listing houses or doing our presentations or generating leads. Number 6 says contract to close. Obviously, we get something under contract. We have to babysit that deal to get it to the closing table. And there's a lot of administrative functions that happen in that contract to close section. There's a lot of administrative functions that happen in the research and due diligence function. You're gathering HOA docs. You're gathering information about whether or not the house can be insured. You're checking on school districts. You're checking on crime statistics. You're checking on all the things that matter to your client. Those are administrative functions, though, right? Even drafting your contract can be an administrative function. It does require a certain level of competency and, ability, but it is still an administrative function. And then step number 7 is how we get paid. We got to get it to the closing table and we collect a check. Do you see social media anywhere on this sales cycle? No. Right? And unless you are generating leads from your social media where you're getting DM'd all the time and they're like, oh my God, I couldn't imagine buying a house from anyone but you. That's fantastic. If you're not, though, then you need to work back on number 1, which is, where am I generating my leads? Where are my business coming from? Is that past clients? Is that people in my life? Where are they coming from? But I would ask you to keep this close to you when you're building your calendar and building your schedule so that you can say, am I on the sales cycle, or am I spending my time? Is my calendar and the sales cycle not in alignment? Am I spending my time doing things that actually don't lead to a paycheck? Or is this busy work that I have to do to keep my business going? And is that busy work something that I could offset with hiring somebody else to do it or leveraging someone else to do it? So everybody gets me there. Everybody understands the sales cycle, right? Let's dive into this activity. I want you to find a piece of paper wherever you are. And you are going to start a list of, and we're just going to take a few minutes to do this. You are going to start a list for, I want you to think about a typical week in your life. And this is going to include work-life balance, raising your kids, your dog grooming, your pet care, all the things that you have to do in a normal week. And Kaylin, you're going to love this. In a normal week, of what all is required of you to keep your home and your business afloat. What are you responsible for, or what, not even just what you're responsible for, but what things need to be done. So that list can include grocery shopping. It can include cleaning out your cat boxes. It can include taking the trash cans out to the curb. It can include, all the things you do for your business as well. Like, do I have networking commitments? Do I have a podcast each week? Do I have, blah, blah, blah. I want you to make a list and take just a minute to make a list of, in a week, between your household and your business, what are some of all the tasks that are required of you to keep your business afloat? So
Are
I
we
have,
doing this now? It's going to take me like a million years
I
just to
know,
write down everything I do for my family.
I know, but
I'm just kidding.
it's really an important exercise though. And it will just take a few minutes, and then you can finish the list later and go back and be more inclusive of all the wonderful things you do for your family. But I have things on mine that have to do with, like, checking in on my team members, like generating leads, writing handwritten notes. Like, there are things that I commit to every day that are on this list. Look how pretty Casey's picture looks. Girl.
It's an old headshot, guys. Old.
You're still beautiful. Stop it. I'm going to give you just another minute to keep listing the things. All right. Now what you're going to do is we're going to go through and categorize the things that you listed. And here's how you're going to categorize them. You're going to write a 1 next to it if it is only something that you can do. Only you can do it, no one else. Okay. You're going to write a 2 if you'd have to teach someone how to do it in order for them to be able to do it for you. And you're going to write a 3 if you don't like it and you're no good at it or it's not for you. Like the cat boxes is a 3 for me. It's non-negotiable. I'm not doing it ever. So 1 is something only you can do. 2 is something you'd have to teach someone to do it. And 3 is you don't like it. You're not a good fit for it. It's not for you. Are we almost done? Okay. The reason I like this exercise is because sometimes there's things on the list that actually surprise you. There's things, let me ask you, are there anything on your list that you marked as a 2 or a 3 that you have been doing yourself and only you? Anything that you recognize that like, hey, I don't really have to do that? Anything y'all want to share about?
Showing houses.
Okay, good.
Transaction coordinating,
Okay.
paperwork. So I cannot stand the portion. Is not. I mean, I do it, but I don't like it.
Right. And is it your skill set? Are you great at it? Like, are you really super attention to detail? You know, like you might be, but it's tedious doing the paperwork part sometimes, right? Bonnie, was there anything on your list that?
Mine had to do more with home. Like,
Yeah.
I've got 2 teenagers and we give them chores, but they could be doing a heck of a lot more.
Right, right. Most
I
of my
do.
list was at home too, just so you know. Most of the stuff was like cutting my grass, like bathing the dogs, you know, doing the grocery shopping, a lot of that stuff that, again, if I look at my hourly rate, if I make over $300 an hour, do I really need to be doing my own grocery shopping, or is that stuff I could leverage, right? Like, or is that stuff I'm doing during my normal work hours that's actually I should be getting paid during those work hours, right? Like, doesn't necessarily mean that you have to hire someone else to do it, because we might not have the funds to be able to do that. But the problem, or you think you don't. But the problem is like, if your time is spent doing some of these things that could free you up to actually be making more money, would you then have the money to pay someone to do it, right? And it's a balance. You have to decide for yourself, like, hey, is this something I could easily offset to somebody else? So I'm going to go back to Kaylin for a second about showing houses. So Kaylin, you have tons of agents in your office that are newer or there's probably some very hungry agents that want to help out. They want to learn. I know for a fact I've got agents on my team that are hungry to learn, and that, you know, they just need to do. If they had people to go show houses too, they would learn so much by showing. But if we're control freaks, which I am sometimes too, like, you know, that's hard to let go of that part, right? Because you're trusting your client with someone else, and you want to know that they're doing it the way you would. You want to know that they're, you know, that the client feels like they had somebody really looking out for them while they're showing them the house. But showing a house, to me, if I trained somebody to do it my way, I could let go of that all day. That's not my highest and best use of my time. And it's not what I even enjoy anymore. After being in this business for so long, I don't like it. I get annoyed. And I really should be celebrating the fact that I have a client to go show houses to. But I covet my weekends so much now, that, and my time with my family, that I really would like, I don't want to go show this house on a Sunday at 2:00. I want to spend that time with my family or whatever it is, right? Or maybe I could be doing something different. But even if I'm leveraging sitting in open house versus showing houses, I would rather sit in open house than show houses all day long, personally. Right? I don't like either one of them.
Right.
But you get to choose, is the point. Did you guys find that what were some of the ones that you had? That's one of my questions. Did anybody have anything that was a one?
Call to my past clients.
Yes. 100%.
Meetups and lunches.
Yep.
That's my favorite stuff to do, though.
And that's where we get the most leverage, I find. Like, that's actually where I feel like I love my job, because I'm making connections with people. I get to spend time with people that I like. I feel like it's more rewarding part of the job, even though showing the houses is part of the thing. And when you're newer, showing houses is fun, I think. You know, a lot of people enjoy it. But for me, that's not where I love my job. That's not where I feel really like I'm an important part of it. I feel like being an important part of it is really helping them structure the offer so that they're successful, or knowing how to market the property, get it sold, or get attention to it. That's where I strive and excel. Not that actually, let's go drive all over town and give you a tour of Nashville like a tour guide. That's not my strong suit, right? So let's talk about how anybody else have a one on there that they want to share. No?
My ones were the same, just networking events. I added my children and my spouse on my ones.
Okay. Okay, that works. I mean, you know, sometimes if you're the mom, you know, you're the only one that steps up in certain roles, or you're the only one that does certain things for your kids, you know. Holly's husband travels a lot, and so sometimes she's by herself, you know, as the mom. So sometimes the ones are, this is me because this falls on my responsibility in our family, right? The cat boxes are not my responsibility in my family. I'm not doing them, you know, and everyone in my house knows it. They will overflow, but I will not scrape them and scoop them and change them. It's just not happening. But I made that very clear to everyone in our house from the very get-go. But there may be things like that for you. I don't do my own grocery shopping. I've had Instacart for years. And I literally just go on Instacart and place my order, and I pay an annual fee for it. So I don't have to pay every time I, you know, place an order. I save money by being an annual member. It also saves me money at the grocery store, because guess what? These kids, AKA my wife and all the other people, don't throw more things in my cart when we're going up and down the aisles of the grocery store. You know, I stick to the stuff that I need, and I know, and it normally knows what I buy on a regular basis. So it's like, order again? Yes. And I just throw it all in the cart, and it comes delivered to my house on my porch. And then I just bring them inside and put them in the refrigerator. So that's one area for me that I saved a lot of time, because 2 hours in the grocery store is not the best use of my time. How much did that cost me at $300 an hour? A whole lot more than my $175 worth of groceries, right? Or whatever it is. You know, but grocery shopping may be something you enjoy. Maybe it's cathartic for you. But what I want you to do is evaluate the list, keeping in mind of how much your hourly rate is worth, and evaluating what is it that you are best at? Where do you shine? Are you best with the clients? Like, maybe you are really great at showing houses and building rapport, and that's where you really love that part of it. So you would never think of giving that part away to somebody else. And that's okay. But sitting behind a laptop for 7 hours a day or 4 hours a day, I guarantee you, if you are behind your computer that amount of time per day, unless you are making outbound calls, going through your database, you're probably not on the sales cycle. That's the truth. If you're just sitting on a computer doing content, putting out content, or doing a flyer for an open house or doing a flyer for a listing or whatever it is, that's fine and dandy. But if you are not out in the people, talking to people, you're probably not on the sales cycle. So just keep that in mind. So the other part is that I want you to look at the activities that you are engaging in and see, is there an opportunity for me to outsource this to somebody else? And that could be as simple as a favor request, like if it's graphic design work or flyer design work, or if it's I want to create some graphics for Instagram or something like that. Is that something that you could outsource pretty easily, or is that something you want to maintain control of yourself? And is it your skill set? But if it takes you 8 hours to do one thing, then I would tell you you're not spending your time properly or wisely, right? So I want you to start thinking about, are there things that I could utilize to help me be more efficient in my business? So sometimes for some people, it's that balance of work-life balance, where sometimes some of the things in our household have to be leveraged to somebody else. Maybe somebody else in our house has to step up, AKA those kids or our spouse, right? Or whoever. But maybe sometimes you have to have a hard conversation with them and say, I can't do it all. And sometimes when it comes to household activities, you need to draw a line down the middle of the paper. You need to have a list of all the things that keep our house moving and going in the right, and keep our house afloat. And then you actually need to put down who's doing what in the house and see where somebody maybe can pick up some slack. It's not always about paying some people. Sometimes it's about having harder conversations with our people at home to support us so that we can actually thrive in our career. It's especially difficult when you work from home and your spouse works from home, or if you have kind of a different dynamic in your house where maybe you're the breadwinner and the spouse is the stay-at-home person, or vice versa, or whatever. Sometimes some of those household chores get dumped in our laps as women. I just say that because there's not any men on here. But sometimes those household chores get dumped in our laps. But really, it takes 2 people to keep a household moving, right? To keep a household thriving and functioning. So are there things that your partner or your children can step up to help and do to relieve some of the stress from you so that you're not doing it all yourself? Think about that, okay? The other thing I will tell you when it comes to outsourcing or leveraging, if you're going on vacation, you need to have, and most of you are on my team, so most of you already have each other, but I just will say this very clearly. If you have a very busy weekend coming up, like Kaylin, if you're traveling out of town and you've got some people who are looking, you need to have some agents that you can call to say, hey, I'm going out of town next weekend. Can you back me up? Can you show these houses for me? And you've got to have some people that you trust in your business to say, I trust you to mirror the same level of service I give to my clients. Now, if I showed up to show a house for you, they're not going to get the comedian, the all-star, comedian that you are, but are they going to get somebody with lots of personality that's warm and welcoming and knowledgeable? Sure. Right. They can't be us always.
Absolutely.
But you can train somebody, hey,
Right.
This is how I do it. And I would love for you to cover my business when I'm out of town, or when I'm slammed and I can't be in 5 places at once. You've got to leverage the people around you to help you. That doesn't mean you have to partner with them. Doesn't mean you have to join a team with them. It means that you talk on the front end about how you're going to compensate them and how they can best help you when you're in a jam or when you need help, right? But as an individual agent, because you're all not going to be on my team forever either, as you all start to grow your businesses, you need to start finding people that you feel comfortable covering your business or covering aspects of your business so that you can shine in the areas where you're best. Right? and then figure out what that looks like. But it doesn't have to be a huge percentage of your commission. It doesn't have to be, like that you're shelling out $200 every time someone shows a house for you. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours, and it's going to come out in the wash. We're going to help each other because that person's going to go on vacation too, likely. They may not travel as much as you do, so you may have to compensate some people sometimes, but you'll figure it out. But I want you to think about, how can I best leverage my time, or the time that I have, I want to spend it with my family while I can, or whatever it is that you're choosing to do. I want you to not be afraid of giving up parts of your business to other people. If you are a control freak like me, you still can have oversight into your business, especially if you do a good job on the front end, setting expectations with the people you're leveraging the work to. This is how I expect it to be done. This is what I want. I got really good with my Instacart shopper. At the beginning, I wasn't real picky about the things that I wanted or the replacements. And now I've learned what certain things, they're not real good at picking out produce, or they're not really good about finding correct substitutions. So I've just learned on the front end, this is what I want. If they don't have the thing I wanted, I'd rather have a refund, or I'd rather replace it with this item. But it's the same thing with the people that you're leveraging in your life to do any of these tasks. In order for you to relinquish control to them, you have to do a good job of setting expectations on the front end, saying, this is what I want. I've even had to do that with open house hosts for me. When someone says, hey, I want to host an open house, do you have any listings I can host? Yes, but let me tell you my expectation. I expect you to arrive on time. I expect you to give me a full rundown when the open house is over about how many people came through. Were there anybody that's interested? I expect you to be knowledgeable about the listing itself, be able to answer questions about the square footage, when it was built, who built it, does the neighborhood have a pool? Those are simple things that I expect a certain level of competency. If you're going to host an open house for me, that gives me comfort that you know what you're doing. I'm not just going to hire anybody that's willing to do an open house. This is what I want. This is what I expect. I want you to put signs out. I want you to advertise and promote the open house as if it was your listing to drive traffic to the door, right? But are you setting those expectations for anything that you're leveraging for somebody else to do on your behalf? Even if you're a control freak, you can leverage those with good input and expectations on the front end so that you're not disappointed on the back end, right? Good input gives great output. Right? I'm a big firm believer of it. So I just want to encourage you. One, you should know what your hourly rate is at all times. And then you should balance and weigh the activities that you're doing against what that hourly rate is and see, do those match? Is this the highest, best use of my time and my skill set? Am I great at this? Do I suck at this? Could I use somebody else might be way better at this and more affordable than my 8 hours that it would take me to do it, right? And then I want you to think about, is there areas in your home where you can leverage some help that maybe is something that's bogging you down or stressing you out that doesn't necessarily have to? Is it something that somebody else can do, or does someone else in your house need to step up to help you do it, right? Do you need a little bit more support in that area? And then I want you to think of the sales cycle, and I want you to think of your daily activities and say, is my calendar in alignment with the sales cycle? Or am I engaging in all kinds of things that don't lead to a paycheck? Because most of us engage in a lot of things that don't lead to a paycheck. It's busy work. It's things that, it's exposure for my business. It's like networking. So maybe I'll meet somebody, blah, blah, blah. Unless you're doing it the right way, are you leaving with new contacts? That's what I'm going to tell you. Are you meeting new people? Because some of us are engaging in activities that keep us busy. We're always got stuff on our calendar, but are they leading to listing appointments or buyer broker appointments or practicing appointments? Are they leading to business meetings? Are they leading to a paycheck at some point? Or will I collect Social Security before I get a real estate commission? Right? So I want you to weigh that sales cycle against your calendar and make sure that those two are in alignment. Anybody have any discussion, or let's talk about how you feel about it? Is there anything that you're like, okay, well, I can't really outsource some of the things that are causing me the most stress? I can't afford it, or what are some of the negative thoughts that you guys are thinking about why this is not something that you could do? Or are you guys on board and you're like, okay, great, I'm gonna hire somebody to do this, this, and this? Tell me what you're thinking.
I like your idea of outsourcing like flyers and whatnot, because I'm trying to farm my area, and instead of me having to sit at my laptop and figure out, gathering information on local real estate business or whatever, maybe that's something that I can just start outsourcing, paying a few dollars and having a really professional looking flyer or whatnot to be able to send out to my farm. So that was a really great point.
I agree. Good job. Anybody else?
Well, so I just started this year in January outsourcing my contract to close,
Yes.
and it tripled my business. And I know you told me to do that a long time ago, but
Yeah.
I just started.
No, but I'm proud of
it
you.
really did help so much. Thank you.
Good.
But I'm trying to figure out where showings are probably the other thing, but showings are how I connect with my clients.
Right.
So maybe I should work on buyer presentations with them, connect with them there, and then kind of like half show them, half not.
Yeah. And that is, I will tell you, a difficult part is when you are leveraging a showing agent, sometimes your clients, you have to do it the right way. The handoff is super important. You can't just say, hey, I'm not available today, Bonnie's going to show up today. You kind of have to prep them when you're in the beginning stages of working together, just so you know. I do, I travel a lot. I have a young child at home, blah, blah, blah. But I do have a team of people that I rely on to help me. If there's ever a time you want to look at a house that I'm not available, I've got people that can help. So you don't ever have to worry about me not being available holding you up, right? It's all about the handoff and how you present it to them. But I agree with you. I understand that you connect with people probably at every stage of it, but you've got to think about, again, is this the highest and best use of your time, right? Like, and showing them the house may not be, I do have another agent that I coach that she just has a newer agent at Benchmark that she literally will do all the showings for her, and then she just writes the offers. So I don't know if that works for every client, because some of my clients are not, they're very particular about me, just like you're the special sauce. Your clients want you, but it does, sometimes you're not going to be available, and you want your clients to know I've got backup if I need it, right? And you're in good hands with them. I've trained them about how I like to show houses. They're trained about what to look for and how to answer your questions. And then I'm going to take it from there. And don't worry, that's where I really excel, right? It's all in how you explain it to them and how you leverage that and how you talk about and present it to them that makes them more okay with it. You just can't hand them off to somebody and think that they're going to relate the same way. And not everybody that your client relates to all your people, even though you trust them and like them, they may not be a good fit for your person, right? Like, so I've got some real persnickety people that are just like, we don't want anybody else, we'll just wait for you. And I'm like, fine. And that's another Sunday at 3:00, I have to go show you a house, but again, you should be celebrating the fact you get to show a house on Saturday or Sunday, right? Anybody else have any comments about anything we talked about today, or leveraging or wondering how you would outsource or leverage anything that's on your list that you're not sure about?
I may have a double question, I'm not sure.
Sure.
But could you walk through maybe even like a very brief overview of like what your weeks look like to like cultivate and stay on that sales cycle? And then my second question is, if you are not ready to release some things, then how should I get over that hump, like either like mentally or financially?
Okay, so good question. First things first is my week. I have a document that says, what do I do? And it's broken down from daily activities, weekly activities, monthly activities, and quarterly activities. I'll be happy to share that with all of you guys, and I'll send that to you. But that's basically how I build my week. My daily activities, I look at the sales cycle and say, okay, I have to generate leads. So that's on my calendar every single day. I have to have appointments to feel like I've actually accomplished something. So that means I'm usually scheduling at least 2 appointments every single day with either a connector or a potential buyer or potential seller or a business to business referral. So those are scheduled on Sundays for the week in advance. I know at the minimum I have to have 2 appointments scheduled for the week. So I look at my calendar on Sundays, I look at my CRM, and I say, who do I want to meet with this week? And I will book 2 appointments that week. So without a doubt, I know I have 2 appointments every week, whether that is to practice, whether that is to meet with B2B, whether that is to actually show a client property, or if that is to talk about an upcoming listing to get a house ready for sale, or it's a networking appointment. But there are definitely 2 appointments scheduled every single week. Then I will go through the other things like writing my handwritten notes. That's on my calendar every day. It's the first 30 minutes of my day to write 2 handwritten notes every single day. So that's also in my daily activities that I'm doing every single day. As far as the rest of the items, like I said, it's going to be the way my calendar is broken down is either, it starts with prospecting, then it starts with admin functions like, do I have anything that's under contract or pending or things that need to be followed up on? And then the afternoon is typically my appointment slot. So 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock is typically where I'm meeting with somebody face to face or trying to connect with somebody every single day from that 1 to 3 hour. The other question that you asked, Casey, is, and I'll send that what to do doc so you guys have that. But the other thing is, if you're not quite ready to give things up, that's okay. You don't have to. But I want you to be very mindful of what your hourly rate is and how much time you have in a day. And if you find that you are doing more administrative functions and tasks than you are things that are on the sales cycle, then you need to start considering how can I give up some of these other things? And some of it's not a financial decision. It's like the timing of when you do it. If I have a lot of admin functions to do, sometimes I have to work late at night or on the weekends to do that. And I have to do the other things during the week, during the prime hours that I know I need to do my prospecting calls, or, open houses happen at certain times, or if I'm meeting with clients or potential clients, those have to happen during certain hours. And then I have to do some of the other boring admin stuff later. But really it starts with, what is it that I am doing? Like Kaylin said, even just giving up the contract to close portion of her business. Yes, it costs you anywhere from $350 to $450 a file probably, but it freed you up for all the nonsense of watching that contract go all the way to the closing table. You've got somebody else taking care of all that. You've got somebody else making sure that everybody, but I guarantee you, Kaylin is CC'd on probably every email and she knows what's going on in she better be, at least know what's going on, so that she doesn't feel like she has to actually be the person emailing the contract herself. She just needs to know that it's done. And when you have somebody that you know is going to take it from start to finish, that $400 or whatever she paid for contract to close, that's probably another 10 hours that she can be doing other things, prospecting for new business, or showing properties, or whatever it is you're doing, because you don't have to trace the paper, right? And especially if details are not your thing, like if, even just getting it in the right order and putting it in the pipeline and all that, if it takes you 2 hours to do all of that, somebody else that's contracted close can do that in 10 minutes because they know how to do it. They do it every day. So I think you have to weigh, what is it that I know is something that if I didn't have to do, I could focus on something else that makes me more money? Or is this worth whatever my hourly rate is? Is it still worth it for me to do it? 1 hour, if we did the example earlier, that 1 hour was $300, a contract to close person is going to work 10 or 11 hours on that file, and it's $300. So why would I work for $300 an hour for 10 or 11 hours when I can hire someone to do it for $300 an hour? If you're using that same math, right? In the beginning, I did all my own contract to close because I was cheap. I didn't want to pay somebody to do my contract to close. But then when I realized that I could leverage that time doing other things, that was the easiest thing I could let go of, because those people are better at it than I am. They are very skilled and very detail oriented, and they do it every day. They know exactly what to do. But some people just can't let go, and if you can't let go and say you just need to start somewhere, if maybe you can manage it all and you're doing great. But there are other people that there's something has to give in order for them to find time to do the things they want to do. Whether that's spending time at home or working more, something has to give somewhere. I hope that answered your question, Casey. They were both great questions. Anybody else?
Yes, it does.
Sure. And I will email you all that document so you know what I'm talking about, what to do when. All right. Well, if you guys don't have any more commentary about, but I want you just to stay focused on high value activities that lead to a paycheck, and make sure that you are leveraging the low value activities that you're seeing where you can outsource that if you can, and being very mindful about what your hourly rate is. Okay. Next week, we're going to do handling conflicts. I've had a lot of conflicts lately with a lot of people. They seem to be rearing their ugly head right now, and a lot of agents are struggling. And so I kind of want to arm you with language to use, how to de-escalate a situation with another agent, how to de-escalate it with a client, and just kind of how to handle some common conflicts that we run into, just so that you're prepared with the language that you need to use and how you need to navigate some of those conflicts, and the ways that we can de-escalate them so that we can work together to actually get it to the closing table. So I hope you're looking forward to that one. Anybody have anything else for me today before I let you go? Thanks for being here. I hope it helps.
Next.
Yep, next Monday at 10, same bat time, same bat channel.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, y'all go out and kill it. Go out there and really evaluate what you're going to do with your day today. Make the most of your day count, and try working on, looking at your schedule and looking at your activities and say, hey, how much does this cost me for me to do this myself? Okay. Sometimes you got to do the shit yourself. I get it. I'm not telling you you're going to hire everything out, especially if you don't have the money to pay somebody else to do it. But I just want you to be mindful. And if you do have the ability to leverage some of the things that you're not good at, then I want you to take a look at it and see, what can I get off my plate that would free me up to do something else that would make me more money. Okay. All right. Y'all go have a great day. Go kill it. Let me know if you need anything, and I will see you all soon. Thanks for being here.